Hey there, folks. We're going to try this again because I just broke into a coughing fit when I started this a minute ago. It's Jason here again, and I wanted to do a little bit of a channel update and try something new. Initially, I had thought about doing, as a way to update folks on the channel, put the camera on me, and I've got a Hanomag model here for my bolt action in front of me. One of the things I have to paint up for the Great Bolt Action channel, paint off. I've also got some notes, which is a bit of a rarity for me to keep me from rambling on a little bit too much. But while we're talking about rambles, I've seen more and more on some fellow YouTubers' pages or videos that they have expressed more and more appreciation or more and more interest, and I've even seen this reflected in remarks on my own channel, of having something to paint to or to listen to while they're painting. Or goofing off, doing whatever else, assembling their own models. So I wasn't really sure how to make this happen. Part of me thought of going there's a couple folks out there that will just essentially do a podcast and just talk into have a blank screen up there or something. Or Wargaming for Fun does this a lot. I had thought about assembling this model so you could see me assemble something, but who really likes looking at that? And who wants to look at this ugly mug? So what I thought I'd do is have something up on the screen for you to look at. In this case, this is my wife and I. She dressed up as garden gnome. I as a mighty Roman non-canon centurion or something or other. And I'll have a couple things as I update what's kind of going on in Jason's hobby world, or at least this part of my this part of my hobby world. So what I thought I'd do is just I'd have a background up, and if folks say, "Hey, you know what? I don't care. I just listen to you talk," assuming that I have something of interest to say, I may just avoid this altogether. I could turn a video on of you looking at me talk. Let me know what you think. But let's go ahead and I typed in YouTube update into or channel update into Google, and I did an image search, and I came up with this beautiful thing. So what this is going to be in a kind of a roundabout way is me talking about the current state of the channel and me talking about my main gaming systems, and just kind of marching through the order, knocking a couple things off. I've seen a lot of things out there that I kind of want to do a video on. A lot of GW hate out there, and as much as I'm not really playing GW games right now, I am not a GW hater. My thoughts on YouTube and starting up a YouTube channel, Reef, I guess now Reef Beastman, he's moved to a different channel, just posted something not that long ago on his thoughts on starting up and whatnot, and I'm a much smaller channel than his has ever been, but kind of give my thoughts on, there's a number of things I just like to talk about, but it's pretty rare that I have the time or the actually have the discipline to sit down and write out notes. So I figured I'd start here. I kind of test the waters a little bit and see what folks think. If they have other questions they'd like me to talk about. Mini Warzone has done a great job of this of late, and it seems to be something that people gravitate towards. I'm not trying to steal his thunder, but if it's a venue that other people like, part of my interest in doing YouTube is being a participant in the wargaming and painting communities, not just a consumer and then throwing out the occasional, hey, this is what I painted last week. In terms of my channel, those of you who have been with me for a while know that as of last December, primarily, I switched from being kind of a GW focused gamer to going towards more historicals, and that first was Hail Caesar, and then I went into bolt action. I will say the transition is going very well, both for me personally and for the channel. I really enjoy the historicals, I enjoy the research, I enjoy digging into stuff. I like learning about things, and yes, I guess you can learn about non-historical wargaming and become the fluff expert at insert gaming system here, but I really like looking into the various systems. I consider myself to be fairly conversant on World War II issues, but I've learned a lot painting up the Germans. I kind of instinctively knew what their armored personnel carriers looked like, but now I know the difference between a Pioneerwagen and a Hanomag and all these other things. And so it's kind of sharpened my understanding of World War II. I knew comparatively little about early Imperial Romans, the difference between them versus the Republican Romans, other than what happened with Caesar. and I've learned a lot with that. So I'm really enjoying kind of perusing, looking around in the historical realm. It also doesn't hurt that it's a lot cheaper comparatively to a lot of the GW things, even though I would say on the whole the model quality isn't quite the same. On the YouTube channel, it seems like the community has responded well. And a part of it, I think, though, is that the historical wargame community is much smaller and much more tight-knit and, frankly, a lot more open, where before I was putting out, I don't know if I'm being too hard on myself, iffy, reasonable, I guess, YouTube battle reports on Warhammer Fantasy Battles, but those were a dime a dozen. I mean, anybody could find those. The ones that got the most attention were my update builds on my 40k Fire Raptor for my Imperial Fist army. I got some good ones on Bretonnians or Beastmen. My opponent, when I lived in Vienna, he was a Beastman player. Those got the most views, and most of my videos haven't gotten that many. If you can go back and look at some of the playlists. In comparison, I think, and not that many likes, not that many dislikes. In fact, almost no dislikes, but not that many likes, which tells me that people were just kind of meh about my what I was spending a fair bit of time trying to put together. And in comparison, I have reduced the length of most of my videos. I haven't had as many battle reports as I'd like. In fact, I haven't had any, and I'd like to finish this, but Bolt Action is a game I've played a fair bit, but it's a tough one to do a battle report for, because you're drawing dice, not randomly, essentially randomly. The who gets to activate mechanic is so unusual that's tough to do with photographs, or I haven't figured out a good way to do it. My opponent likes to play really large games, and it's a tough one for me to learn, because he basically likes to throw everything on the table and make a cool scenario. I'd estimate that we're playing 3,000 or 4,000 points aside, and I'm pretty relaxed when I play this stuff. Not even 3,000 or 4,000, maybe 2,000 to 3,000. And most people know that a 1,000-point game in Bolt Action is a lot of stuff. So we're probably playing with 30 dice aside. 30 dice aside. That's a lot. And I'm having a hard time with the rules. And so I can't do a battle report when there's 10 tanks on the board and, 6 or 7 big infantry units and all the other stuff. I just haven't been able to do it well. Anyways, the positive feedback I've received and the amount of likes have gone up dramatically. The watches have gone up dramatically. So that makes me feel good. I like getting the feedback. I wasn't getting that much feedback before. So I'd like to believe that it's because of the content that I'm putting out. And also, I think, generally speaking, historical wargamers are more accepting and opening and less trollish than some of the more prominent gaming systems. If I did GW or even Warhammer, War Machine and Hordes, I bet I'd have people kind of not being so positive. The only problem I think that I've run into doing historicals is I started too many projects. Yes, some of you have commented on this, and I did. I jumped feet first into Hail Caesar, which is a high model count game, and I'm not a fast painter. And then I decided to do Bolt Action as well. And the guy I play with most frequently, he's a really fast painter, and I think he gets a little frustrated that I'm so slow. But I do take a lot of time because I'm spending a fair bit of money on this stuff. I'm just not a fast painter. I'm a bit anal, I guess. I don't get things painted that quickly. I would say the great Bolt Action paint-off that I'm currently doing now has really motivated me, and I'm going to get probably 80% of what I have done. I'm only painting Warlord game stuff because I'm going to play and enter in their painting competition. So I've got a couple of Rubicon tanks, a Panther, and I think I have a Panzer III. I was thinking about doing a Blitzkrieg era game, or a Blitzkrieg era German force. I'll get to that in my future plans for Bolt Action in a little bit. Made great progress with that, and it's actually helped me to focus and just say you're just going to paint Germans for the good chunk of the month of March and the month of April, and just get this done. And then May, I'll focus on something else. So that's been good. Speaking of Bolt Action, let's go ahead and move on and give you the state of Bolt Action As I said, great progress from the Great Bolt Action Paint Off. If you haven't joined it and you're interested, I will put a link below in the liner notes, below, not in the video. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I am on target to finish pretty much everything I wanted, barring, knock on wood, something coming up or in my personal life or whatever. I'm on target to finish my force. I'm about halfway done now. I've decided that the force, one, because I'm lazy and I'm going to build a veteran Panzer Grenadier force, which is kind of model count light in comparison. I'll have enough flexibility in the models that I have. I think I'm going to go with Panzer Lehr, which was a division mostly set up on the Western Front that basically took the cream of the crop of the Panzer Grenadiers and kind of stuck them all together, and they had access to all the equipment. They were one of the few Panzer divisions that was fully mechanized, and I want to have a fully mechanized force. People might say that it is not a competitive army list. I don't care. I think it looks cool. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do. So I need to start adding the little L's that, if you ever watched Laverne and Shirley, which is kind of a dated sitcom from, I think, the 70s. It looks like Laverne's L, but it's the L for Lehr, which is German for teacher. So we're the cream of the crop. I think I'm going to do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do another bolt action army. It's kind of nice being able to have a defined endpoint for a project. I think if I were going to do another one, I'd do an American ones, and I want to do the Nisei, the 442nd Infantry Regiment that fought in Europe, was comprised of Japanese Americans, many of which were interned. Not one of America's most shining moments. But their kind of motto was "Grow for Broke," and they're the most decorated American unit in its history, and suffered horrendous losses. I think a lot of people pay attention to Airborne because of Band of Brothers. I think this would be an unusual and different force. I just do something completely different from the Germans. I'm having fun with the Germans, especially with their vehicles. But that would be what I would do next if I were going to do another army. I'm not sure if I will, though. In terms of gaming, I haven't had that many. I mentioned that the guy I like to play with likes to play big fights, and it's tough to learn the gaming system and game quickly when you've got 25 order dice to deal with. Most people know that in an evening game, 12 dice is about the maximum, 12 dice per person. When you double or triple that, you've got too much stuff. And he likes to play on a 6x8 foot board, and it looks great, but it just takes forever to get through, especially when I'm trying to learn the rules. And he's better at it, but we still have to go to the rule book fairly often. So we haven't actually finished the game yet. We've gotten close. But in my area, bolt action is more popular than some of the other games I'm going to talk about, or at least Hail Caesar. So I hope to be able just to be able to go to a local gaming store too, and maybe get a pickup game or diversify my gaming a little bit. That's the goal for bolt action. So let's move on to Hail Caesar. What's the state of Hail Caesar? I have kind of put Hail Caesar on hold, as you may have noticed, while I'm doing the Great Bolt Action Paint-Off, and I am going to start the Great Hail Caesar Paint-Off, comprised of me. And if anybody else wants to join, I'm not even going to advertise it like British Legion and others have done. May and June are going to be, let's get this Roman force done. I'm about probably a third of the way through my force. I've got a couple other big units to paint up. It is just a heavy model count. At least with bolt action, like if you get a squad done of 8 to 10 guys, that's like a third or a quarter of your force, depending on how big you want to make it. If you get 40 guys painted for Hail Caesar, that's not very much. So that's a bit more daunting. I am looking forward to getting back to it and just churning through some models. The guy I play with, the same guy who plays bolt action, is now into Hail Caesar, and he is just he's got 3 or 4 cohorts done already, and he's painting Celts up, and he's just blown past me. I do feel guilty because I'm keeping him from being able to play. I think both of us acknowledge that we'll only play painted models. So I told him, I'm going to push through April, and then come May, bam, I'm going to just knuckle down and get as many Romans painted up and on the table as I possibly can. So it is a daunting model count, though. I'd like to get some more games done here as well. I think this one will be a little bit easier to do battle reports for, especially as we first start. It is tougher to find games. I mean, the Hail Caesar is just not as popular as Bolt Action. So I've got the one guy that I know. Who knows? Maybe I'll come up with more. We'll see. In terms of other future projects with Hail Caesar, I don't know if I'm going to do any more 28mm stuff, but I did pick up from Bacchus Miniatures pretty sizable starter armies for Republican Romans versus Carthaginians. I am all about the Punic Wars right now. So those are in my closet. I haven't ever done anything with 6mm before. I took a quick look at the models. They look great. I'll do an unboxing and show some of the models off themselves. Little tiny elephants. I'll do that at some point in the future. But that'll be my next project, probably after I get the 28mm Hail Caesar ones done. State of X-Wing. This is primarily me and my son Anderson. You've seen a couple of battle reports put up. Andy's really enjoying it, so am I. I'm enjoying it for a host of reasons. First and foremost, because Andy's excited about it, and that's a good thing. The Easter Bunny came to our house, and we, of course, Daddy perhaps had some influence on this. He got the Millennium Falcon for in his Easter basket, and was very excited. So I can't say that he's like a dyed-in-the-wool war gamer, that he's thinking about this stuff. He's not a savant about wargaming yet, but he really likes it. And again, I'm kind of baiting the hook, and I don't think it's going to be too hard to set it. I'm enjoying it because, in addition to that, I like the gaming system. I could see myself getting more into it and learning the full rules. I haven't even tried to learn the full rules yet. It's just a game I can get out with my board and throw some models down and play very easily. I can see myself learning the actual rules and playing it with people. Some of it does look to be a little bit more War Machine Hordes gamey-ish when I look on YouTube and some of the tournaments. That's not kind of how I am. I think if I were going to do this more myself, or kind of in a similar vein, I can't think of what it's called. Is it Armada? Where they've got like capital ship level combats. That might be the next game I do with Anderson, where he can have a stand of like that represents a squadron of X-Wings, where now he plays one X-Wing or whatever. That might be the next step. The other thing I really like about this game is, I can go to the store, it's not that expensive, and I can buy a painted model. And yes, could I make it look better than it does out of the box? Probably. But it looks pretty dark. It's at a 90% solution for when I open up that box and I plunk it on the table. It looks really good, and it's nice knowing that whenever I buy something, I don't have to paint it. It doesn't have to. I don't have to paint play an unpainted model, and I don't have to paint. It doesn't. I can keep doing other things, and so that X-Wing right now is a win-win for me. Andy likes it. I like it. I don't have to paint it. Excellent. So we'll see if Armada happens. That's a pretty big chunk of change. I continue to slowly sell some of my older models and a couple other things to fund my hobby. So I don't know I'm going to be jumping into any major gaming systems anytime soon. We'll see. So speaking of other gaming systems, what's next? What is next for this particular channel in terms of my wargaming interests? In terms of Andy, we'll keep kind of talking about him. He has asked me, so I have Super Dungeon Explorer up on my shelf. He asked me about it occasionally. There's a lot of little models to paint with that. And I keep trying to find the time. And my son's turning 8 actually this week. And I keep looking to try to find time or find a way to start getting him into the painting side. I don't know that he's old enough yet. And so part of me thought that, well, if I start with Super Dungeon Explorer, could I let him paint some of the random stuff? At least put the base coat down or something. And I'm not sure if my obsessive compulsiveness would let me, nobody starts out with the world's greatest painter. Certainly not a just turned 8-year-old. He's not really showing a lot of interest in the painting side yet, other than watching me do it occasionally. He's more interested in the playing, so I might just kind of leave that aside. But that might be the next game we do after X-Wing. But that would require me to paint up a whole ton of little fire drakes and heroes and chibi figures, which I've never done before. So it would be, again, bolstering my painting repertoire. But we'll see about that. I've got a couple other game systems that I'm interested in. I really like the 30 Years War too. In fact, I've got a couple of battalions of Swedes that I got for cheaps off of eBay, and I saw that Warlord just put out a 30 Years War supplement for their pike and shot game. Again, though, I just don't know if I want to start with another mass. All this stuff looks great once you get it done, but I don't know if I want to start another mass. This time painting up buff and blue, or what you think of the Swedish colors. Ranked pikemen and arquebusiers or whatever. I'm not sure I can jump right into that right now. So I might just take a break after kind of the Hail Caesar stuff is done. I might not even just pick up the 6mm. It's just been so long since my painting table hasn't had anything on it. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I have no models left to paint. I will just kind of justify it to myself, you finish your Germans. If I finish the Romans, the 28mm Romans, I just might take a break for a while and not paint all the time. We'll see. I also really I found that I don't like doing centerpiece models. Ben Blades did a competition a while back, and some other ones, just spending a lot of time on one model. And sometimes I'll do that too often. I'm like, okay, you spent a lot of time on that one model. Now you've got 39 more for that model's unit to paint. So I might just do the occasional centerpiece model too. I just enjoy doing that. We'll see. Speaking of centerpiece models and small model counts, I actually picked up a number of Malifaux models. I like the game mechanic where it's just a deck of cards. And it's nice to be able to have a crew of 5 or 6 or whatever models painted well. It's 5 centerpiece models, and you're done. And you can learn a gaming system, and you can go play it. And it's just like X-Wing. There's some initial investment, although that means you have to pay anything. This one, if it's for skirmish, I'm not normally a big fan of skirmish games. Malifaux might be one that gets me into it. But we'll see. So that's the state of the channel. Overall, I think my subscriber base seems reasonably happy with me. The channel is slowly but steadily growing. I was at 80-ish subscribers, I think, in November, December, and I'm at 240-ish last time I looked. So that's a pretty good increase. That's good enough for me. I'm not looking to set the world on fire or monetize the channel or anything. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is I would like to do some more terrain. So I've got a GW battle board in the basement that I haven't really gotten out. I haven't gotten it out at all since I've been back in the States. Hope I made it through the trip okay. A bunch of terrain. I'd like to do more stuff. Again, the guy I play with, he's got a huge thing that he just keeps permanently set up in his garage. I don't know how his wife lets him get away with that. I'm jealous. But I'd like to do some more terrain stuff. You saw I did the occasional, I painted up that house. I'll probably do some more bolt action things. Again, it depends on where I end up playing. If I play at the local gaming store, I probably won't bring that as much terrain. If I end up finding people locally to play with that want to play at my house, I will do more terrain. But for right now, it feels good to just get through the armies. So that's what you expect to see on the channel. The channel's going well. Bolt action I'm really pleased with. Hail Caesar a little bit less so, just because I had to put it on hold for a while. And there's just so much to paint with that. And then other projects, kind of listed those out. So we'll see how this all turns out. But please, if you've made it this far, good on you. But go ahead and leave me a comment if you like this format. If there's things I can do differently, if you want to hear more of this, less of this. I thought about doing smaller rambles, just on my thoughts in the community, but I don't want to turn this into a trolling channel. How dare you say GW does things well, or how dare you badmouth War Machine Hordes players, or whatever. If you want to see more stuff, hear more stuff like that, let me know. I welcome your feedback. Thanks for taking the time to listen, and I hope all is going well in your personal lives and with your hobby lives, and that you're getting some time to get some more gaming in. So I will talk to you all soon. Have a good week.